Hello and welcome to YNWA Transfer News, your ultimate source for all Liverpool FC transfer news. Our first news is this. Alexander Isak's private Anfield moment could lead to liftoff in Liverpool career. For just a few minutes on Saturday, long after the 60,000 supporters had shuffled out of Anfield following the Merseyside derby, Alexander Isak might have felt an unwanted sense of déjà vu. Liverpool's number 9 had spent his final weeks on Tyneside training alone as the acrimonious nature of his exit from Newcastle United reached boiling point, and as a result, was made to work to his own individual regime at the Magpies' Benton base, often hours after his teammates had left the building. And having played around 25 minutes of the 2-1 win over Everton on Saturday lunchtime for his new club, Isak once more found himself being put through his paces alone, running from the goal line to the halfway point inside an empty Anfield while Liverpool staff watched on. This time, though, the warm-down routine was anything but a punishment. Instead, it was very much part of the wider plan that has been hatched to get him up to speed as quickly as possible for an unbeaten Liverpool. And as Isak shuttled up and down the Kop end, in drills overseen by fitness coach Dr. Conal Murtagh, he will have been comforted by the knowledge that this was all geared towards getting him back to the sort of levels that made him the most expensive transfer in British football history. At the start of the month, last week was an encouraging one on that front for the 125-meter man, who celebrated his 26th birthday on Sunday. He made his Reds debut in an hour-long cameo against Atletico Madrid for what was his most significant outing since May, building on that with another run out from the bench as Arne Slot's men beat the Blues in the 247th derby. The minutes accrued means Isak has now played around 100 for club and country since the end of last season, and more could arrive in the Carabao Cup when the Reds begin their campaign at the third round. Stage at home to Southampton on Tuesday night with Jadon Danns. Having trained with his more senior colleagues on Sunday, Isak may yet be tasked with another showing off the bench, but he is almost certain to play some part in a game. Most of his similarly high-profile colleagues will be sitting out. It all comes at an opportune time for a club record capture keen to get sharp, and the eye-watering size of the 125-meter sum inevitably brings about more scrutiny and attention, meaning there is little time and patience externally at least for Isak to work his way back to full fitness before he begins repaying the fee. Hugo Ekitike, who himself signed from Eintracht Frankfurt in a deal that may rise to 79 million in July, says players should not be concerned by how much clubs pay for their services, and he is looking forward to working alongside Isak for the coming years at Anfield. Alex will help the team and help me reach new heights, Ekitike says, but deciding who plays will mostly be the coach's issue. If I perform, I think he'd put me on the pitch. He can even try to put us both on the pitch. I think it's just good. I don't care about the price tag. Everything that can be said on the outside, the transfer fee, it is what it is. Football changed. You have a big price tag on your back? Just play football. Dean Saunders, like Isak, made British football history when he signed from Derby County for Tuptyne Newer in 1991, and the Welshman knows how expectations can spiral as a result of exorbitant fees that are way out of players' control. I've played for Liverpool, and I've been the record signing, so I know how the expensive players are feeling right now, Saunders tells the Echo. Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak will be desperate to make an impact. Isak looks like a magnificent signing, his training videos look sensational, and I'm sure he will hit the ground running. The expectations are, of course, really high. You come into one of the biggest clubs in the world with a price tag everyone is talking about every time they mention your name. But you have to remember your job. I lived and breathed scoring goals. Even when I was out of form, I dreamt about scoring, and I hope Isak is the exact same. You think about the amount of goals you're going to score in a season, and I used to aim for 20, but I'm sure Isak will have even more on his mind. Stan Collymore joined Liverpool as the most expensive player of all time on these shores. When he left Nottingham Forest in an £8.5 billion deal back in 1995, and he looks at the cost of a big-money transfer through a different lens as a result, I think that the difference between breaking the transfer record as I did 30 years ago and now is that it's hard to adjust for inflation and work out how similar the deals were, Collymore says. Kieran Maguire, football finance expert, Worked out that an inflation-adjusted figure for all the transfers has Alan Shearer at $250 million to Newcastle, and my move to Liverpool was maybe $260. So my transfer fee was really a massive outlier back then in a way that Isak's isn't. At the time, I was breaking the $7 million record for Andy Cole to Manchester United from the season before. So, while there are incremental jumps these days, back then the increases were more like leaps. The equivalent of going from 150 millers to 300 millers within the course of a season or two. Now, though I don't think the size of the transfer fee matters, players are asked less often about their fees in press conferences and at games. Managers don't get asked much about it either. The focus is more on whether the player is settling in. That is because we're used to such astronomical riches in the Premier League. Those high fees are omnipresent. All Isak really needs to do is to get fit. That's the primary thing, and he needs to hit the ground running, because if he hits the ground running, Liverpool fans will forget about all the shenanigans with Newcastle. In contrast to Saunders and Collymore, Peter Crouch joined the Reds 20 years ago for a modest fee of $7 from relegated Southampton. But the England man, somewhat infamously, endured a goal drought that saw him go 19 games before he opened his account against Wigan Athletic at Anfield. Crouch has previously likened the coverage of that drought to a witch hunt. Such was the attention on him at the time, and he is acutely aware of how intense the demands are on those tasked with scoring goals at a club the size of Liverpool. Hopefully, Isak can have a similar but longer career than Suarez and Torres, as those two shook the cop and were only there for a short period, Crouch, speaking via Paddy Power, says. If he can stay for 7-8 years and replicate what they did, he'll have a good career. I feel like replicating Salah is too far gone because of the numbers. I saw enough in that first hour, against Atletico, to know that he's going to be a massive success. He's so sharp around the box and gets his shots off so quickly that it's only a matter of time before he starts scoring goals. There's always going to be some rotation. But the starting players won't want it, Saunders, speaking via WDW Bingo, adds. They don't want to give their competition the opportunity to perform on the pitch and keep them out of the side for the next game. As a manager, you love it when the players are motivated like that. So I think all of this new competition is healthy for Liverpool and will only make them an even better team. These players will be playing through small knocks, the kind that last season they would have missed a game or a training session through. And those are the teams that win trophies. This summer will have unlocked a hunger in the Liverpool dressing room. Even Salah, who is almost immovable in the Liverpool side, will be looking to raise his levels this season. Arne Slot had no choice with Hugo Ekitike after downright stupid Liverpool red card. You call it stupid. I call it stupid. There's no getting away from it. It was downright stupid. No wonder Liverpool boss Arne Slot was not happy with Hugo Ekitike's red card after his sending off against Southampton. It was one of the most bonkers things you are ever likely to see. The Liverpool striker, already on a booking, took his shirt to celebrate a tap-in of a winner, and duly got sent off. I am watching on the TV and thinking, I'm sure he got booked before. And I bet some of the guys in the press box are thinking, when does this suspension kick in? And did he forget he got booked? In answer to both questions, he gets suspended for a Premier League game, a tricky one at that against Crystal Palace. And no one actually really came to his defense. You can't blame them either. Andy Robertson is such a great player, such a great bloke, and he was vice-captain, so led the team on the night. He was brilliant in the post-match interview with Sky's Juliet Farrington, and there was no defense. Just a case of, well, he won't do that again. You bet he won't. Slot was equally brutal in his presser. He basically said he could almost understand it more if it was a spectacular goal, but Federico Chiesa did the hard bit, and, as Slot rather eloquently put it, it was then not about Ekitike. I haven't played at this level, but I did score a few goals, and if I would have scored a goal like this, I would have turned around and walked up too. In this situation, Federico Chiesa and said, "This goal is all about you. This is not about me," said Slot. So yeah, needless, not smart. You call it stupid. I call it stupid, by the way, as well. Slot is spot on here. He always looks to protect his players, and he duly did, to an extent. He called the first one needless, pointed how hard it is, as he knows all too well himself, to control emotions. But there was no defense for the second. It was plain, well, stupid. Let's be clear here. I love to see players celebrate. I hate that shush celebration. Who are you telling to be quiet? Shout it from the rooftops. And I really like Ekitike. By the way, he's got a hard task now. Big signing and a lot of pressure. And Alexander Isak is an even bigger signing. And Isak is breathing down his neck. Now Isak gets a trip to the palace on Saturday with Ekitike in the stands. So I love to see players show emotion, celebrate, and do mad things. We're in the entertainment business after all. But sometimes, like at Anfield on Tuesday night, you cannot defend them. Alexander Isak decision comes back to haunt Liverpool as Newcastle United proved right. Alexander. Isak remains some distance from being fully fit. After almost a month at Liverpool following his 130 minutes exit from St. James's Park, Isak left. Newcastle woefully short of match fitness after refusing to take part in preseason or join the team on their Far East tour in order to engineer his transfer to Liverpool. The striker scored his first goal for the Reds against Southampton on Carabao Cup third-round night before wheeling away with his usual thumbs-up celebration. But just before he was taken off at halftime, he was called back out to do extra running in order to get his fitness data up to speed. The striker suggested it was something he hadn't done before at Newcastle and said to Sky Sports, "It's a new one on me." When asked by ITV if he was fully fit or not, Isak said, "It's difficult to say. I think it's a mixture of fitness-wise and also football-wise. I feel good. I feel like I'm in a shape to at least make a difference. I feel good. I feel good. I think with every game I play, it's very helpful and gets me in better shape. I'm just getting more and more ready." Toon staff feared that Isak's fitness levels would drop and he would be in a race against time to fully fit for the new campaign. Eddie Howe's last words on Isak's fitness back in August were, "Alex had been working individually with our sports science department, and they have been getting him fit. But in terms of how match fit he is and what he's actually done, it is difficult to judge. Match fitness is very different." Howe has since admitted that his relationship with Isak went under strain and said, "The moment he went on strike, our relationship did change, and that was probably a turning point in our relationship. I loved working with him. I hope he enjoyed working with us. It was mutually beneficial. We helped him become the player he in part is today, and he helped us as a team achieve some unbelievable milestones and was part of a very successful team." Arne Slot singles out Federico Chiesa and makes Alexander Isak Liverpool fitness claim. Arne Slot has singled out Federico Chiesa following his man-of-the-match performance in Liverpool's win over Southampton, but believes the Reds won't start to see the best from Alexander Isak until after the October international break. The Swede scored his first goal for the club in their 2-1 victory over the Saints as they progressed to the League Cup fourth round. Having crossed for Isak to score, Chiesa then assisted the winner for Hugo Ekitike late on. However, the Frenchman went from hero to villain, as he was then sent off for a second bookable offense after removing his shirt to celebrate. Slot felt mixed emotions after the final whistle as a result, having also seen debutant Giovanni Leone stretchered off late on. The Dutchman took time to praise Chiesa following the final whistle, admitting the Italian, who has found his opportunities limited since moving to Anfield last summer, had been his side's standout man. However, without naming names, he cryptically confirmed that he had not been as impressed with the individual performances of some of his other players. "I think what you want to see," he said at his post-match press conference. "I can accept completely that a team that plays for the first time together, players that haven't played for a long time, that they don't play as a team perfectly. But what I always want to see is players that try and work hard. So I said at halftime, for me it is completely not a coincidence that Federico picked the ball and assisted on the first goal because he was the one. In my opinion, that was most involved in the game. Tried the most, worked the hardest. And then it wasn't a coincidence again that he was the man that made a deep run. Great ball by Robbo Andy Robertson, by the way, who also has won so much at this club and also understands how to play this game. Not underestimate it. Just always be ready to play. That's also the way to get yourself either back in the team or get as much playing minutes as you want. That's why I was happy with a few individual performances, but far from happy with a few other individual performances. No, I won't say who, but I think these players I think they know already. Meanwhile, Slot also shared his delight at Isak, who could now make his first Premier League start for Liverpool away at Crystal Palace in the absence of the suspended Ekitike, scoring his first goal for the club. The Dutchman has been happy with what he has seen from the Swede since he joined the club in a British record 125 meters deal from Newcastle United on transfer deadline day. But having endured a disjointed pre-season at St. James's Park, where he essentially went on strike to force an exit, Slot conceded Liverpool will not see the best from Isak despite his maiden goal for a few weeks yet as he continues to build up his fitness. It's nice because it's only 6 or 7 days ago when he made his debut, he said. I just asked, was it 2 weeks ago when we played Burnley? He said no, it was only 1 week ago. So time goes so fast that sometimes you don't understand how long it took. But we got him not in the best circumstances in terms of match fitness, so we have to build it up. The downside to that is that you cannot play a player 90 minutes, and if you only play him 45 or 30, or again, like today 45, it might then normally take a while before he scores his first goal, because we can all understand if you play a player 3 times 90, it's a bigger chance that he scores a goal than when you play him 45, 30, 45. He's the British record signing, and there's hardly anyone talks about this, so maybe it's smart for me to talk about this. So there will be then pressure on if he takes a while to score a goal because he's the record British signing. No one says this, so I repeat it. I think the best moment to start to see where he is and how much he can help us. You can already see that he can help us. But the best will be when he comes back hopefully from the Swedish national team. When he stayed fit, played there many minutes, plays for us in the upcoming weeks a few minutes. Then I think after that then his pre-season has ended, and we can expect even more from him. But until now, I'm very happy with what I've seen from him. Thank you for watching. Like and comment, subscribe.